Animation is more than an art form. It is a transformative medium that connects cultures, explores new ideas, and inspires future generations. As AI continues to transform industries, what does the future hold for animation? At the HKMU World University Animation Awards Experts Forum, in a panel discussion on animation industry and paradigm shifts, 4 internationally acclaimed animators share their experiences and visionary perspectives on the evolving landscape of animation. The distinguished panel includes Michael Arias, director of Tekkonkinkreet, Alex Wu, former Pixar Story Lead, Raman Hui, also known as the Father of Shrek, and Inés Sedan, an Argentine animation director. The discussion is moderated by cross-media artist Victor Wong.
Let me talk about something like, how about Michael, you introduce just 30 seconds, maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes about what's your latest work and what is something about you that you want the audience to know. Yes.
Okay. I started out as a filmmaker in the 1980s, working on kind of Hollywood special effects movies and doing mostly miniature motion control photography, where you use a computer-controlled camera rig to move a camera around a miniature set. That was kind of my specialty for, the first several years that I was working in film. But I had a job that took me to Japan, to Tokyo, and I really liked it there, and I ended up staying. That was 35 years ago. Wasn't the original plan to stay so long, but here I am, and done a lot of things over the years, written animation software, made a hand-drawn animation movie, Tekkonkinkreet, and right now I'm actually working on a stop-motion animated feature film. And one of the things that I was telling Victor earlier is that I really feel like I came back to my roots, because now I'm back using a motion control camera to photograph miniature sets with tiny puppets on it. So it really feels like I came home. I'm really enjoying that. And I think that's all I'll say about myself.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
Yes,
Thank you. It's a long way, yeah. But you get a circle coming back. Okay. So Alex, tell us more about you. You're kind of doing a lot of big projects now. Yeah. So congratulations.
Thanks. I went to NYU Film School. I started my career at Lucasfilm, working for George Lucas, and I worked for him for about 1.5 years. And then I moved over to Pixar, and I spent 10 years of my career at Pixar as a story artist, and I worked on movies like Ratatouille and WALL-E and Cars 2 and The Good Dinosaur and Finding Dory. And then in 2016, I left and I started my own studio with 2 friends of mine who were also from Pixar. And we've been making original content ever since. And our first production was a preschool show called Go Go Corey Carson, which aired on Netflix in 2020. We ended up winning 3 Emmys for that show. We got nominated for 8. And then we just finished our first feature. It's called In Your Dreams, and it's coming out in November, in 2 months, on Netflix worldwide. So if you're interested, take a look at it. So that's sort of my career in a nutshell.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah. Well, can't wait to see your movies in 2 months time.
I can't wait for you all.
Yeah, and then we have our hero, Raman. So Raman, I know a lot of us knows about Raman, but some international students coming from different part of the world would like to know more about you.
Great. Alex also from Hong Kong, if you guys know now. he can speak Cantonese. So,
So
so don't say anything bad. I'm originally from Hong Kong. I graduate from PolyU, is a different U, but and I started doing animation because there was a rostrum camera at the university, but there was no animation program, and then I thought such a waste of a huge rostrum camera, no one using it. So I started doing animation, and it changed my life. And then I started animating in Hong Kong in a small studio in Wanzai. And later on, I went to Sheridan in Canada, and I took a course of computer animation for the summer. And then it also changed my life from 2D animation to computer animation. Then after that, I kind of did the reverse of Michael. I went west instead of coming back to east. I spent a long time in Hollywood or in the Silicon Valley at that time to do computer animation. So I worked on movies like Shrek and Kung Fu Panda and such. And now I'm back. I'm recently working on an animated movie right now. It's still in production. Hopefully, can show you guys later soon. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Raman. So Inés, know you're from France, right? So tell us a little bit about how you combine your artwork and animations, how you practice it. Yeah.
My English is not very well. First, I'm from Argentina and live in France 25 years ago. And I'm a work like animation director of the short films. I work like independent director and choose a different enterprise of the producer of the short film, because in France is a lot of the enterprise of that. I'm really free because my films is a animated short film, but it's a short film for adults. It's not for child. That's it.
Okay. Well, thank you, Inés. Yeah. And okay. As you said, as you see, and all of us work a long time, and also we kind of using our sweat and blood to do the animations frame by frame in a long time. And usually we watch animations in the movies theater, and sometimes on the televisions. And now this, like the audience group or ages or the practice is different from going to the cinema to maybe Netflix or other platforms, or even sometimes on your phone. So there's changing of displays from large screen to mediums to even smaller films, or even now we can even have virtual reality and put on. So that affects a lot of from starting from the script writings on how do you present your ideas to the device that you're using is changing. So let's discuss a little bit about this first. How virtual realities affects the way of us to enjoy the animations. How about you talk about this? You're a tech guy, right? Michael, yeah.
To be honest, I feel like I'm a little what's the Rip Van Winkle or something. I kind of missed augmented reality and virtual reality. I've never put a headset on. It's just because I've kind of been focused on my own thing, and also because what I enjoy most is sitting in a movie theater, a dark room with an audience, and watching a story be told. That's what I enjoy, and I haven't really found that experience in interactive media, games, or some nonlinear approaches to storytelling. What I really like is sitting in a movie theater or watching live theater. I really get off on that as well. So I don't really have much of an opinion on the VR or AR, and I'm not really connected with that space at all. When I first moved to Japan, I actually spent a year and a half working at a game company called Sega, making kind of a ride that you sit in this capsule and it bounces you around and you watch a CG movie. Still thinking of that as basically a movie with a bouncing seat. So my connection with the story wasn't like it's basically just a movie.
Well, I love the term "state movie with bouncing seats." That's a good way to describe these feelings. How about Alex? What do you think about this new media affects us to enjoy the storytelling, and even sometimes, well, some movies have different endings, or you start from somewhere in the middle, and then you have a different experience. How do this affect the storytelling? Your mind, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of like Michael. I prefer being in a theater with. To me, movie going and movie watching is a communal experience, and I think that's what makes it so powerful. I did dabble in virtual reality, so before I left Pixar, and around like 2014 or 2015, when there was like the whole VR craze, there was a lot of hype around it. I did direct a VR short called The Rose and I, and it was fun. But what I found was that I just kept trying to mimic the movie experience. With virtual reality, you have so much optionality, and there is no screen. You can basically put characters and story points anywhere in 360-degree space. But I ended up still putting all of the important story moments in front of the audience. And maybe that's just my own limited imagination. But I found it very difficult to direct the audience's attention to somewhere behind them or above them or below them. And the whole point of storytelling is that you can dictate where the audience is looking, what they're hearing, what they're feeling, because you're guiding them through a journey and guiding them through an experience to hopefully culminate in this sort of emotional climax. And to me, there was too many options in virtual reality. So it became very, very difficult to actually direct. And so I abandoned it and went back to what I was comfortable with, which is, a 2D screen where you have a frame and you're working within that frame, and everybody knows and understands sort of implicitly what the rules of engagement are for that experience. So yeah, maybe I'm just an old school kind of person,
Do you think maybe we need like a generation of people who doesn't know cinema to just start from scratch, like?
Possibly, but if you think about the origins of storytelling, right? It's where it started off with a bunch of cave people or hunter-gatherers gathered around a campfire, and there's somebody telling a story. It's one person telling the story. Everybody's attention is on that storyteller. And to me, cinema is just a sort of a natural sort of evolution of that relationship between the storyteller and the audience. And VR, I don't know, it blows that whole thing up. And I just don't think it's natural to how our sort of history as a human race is used to engaging with stories. I could be wrong, but I find it very unnatural.
It's possible that the next generation might want to do more different options, different endings. But when you think about it, it's extra work. It's a lot of extra work. When you have a producer, you have to control the money and all that. You have to make sure, do we have that options to do all the extra work? That let me think of something that we experienced before. When Shrek came out, there was the year that the first time Oscar has the Oscar for animated movies.
Yes.
So they asked us to give them two options, two clips. One is if we win the Oscar, Shrek and Donkey sit in the audience and they react. And then the other one is if we lose the Oscar. So we have to do those two animation. So it's very hard for me to talk to the animators who has to animate when we lose.
Okay.
I said, well, but when you think about it, if we lose, your animation will be seen. So you'll be happy, right? If we win, you'll be happy anyway. So if your animation no one can see, that's okay.
Well, that's good. You always have happy endings with it.
Yeah. So if you have different endings, you have to do so much extra work. From that extra work, you also have to do other extra work. So I think it's if you allow, then you have the options, or maybe AI can do that for multiple endings. Then otherwise, it's really hard to control the budget or schedule. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, Raman got the points that always we are limited by the budgets to do the work that we're going to show. So always struggle between directors and the producers, how to spend the money and right?
I think if someone tell Alex, hey, what if you have two different endings for the November release?
I mean, it's possible. When I was a kid, they had these choose your own adventure books, right? Where you got to choose, at certain points, you got to make a decision for the character. And if they do this, you go to page 76. And if they do this other thing, you go to page 94. I mean, those are fun for a little bit, but it kind of gets gimmicky. And I just think that audiences, what they're really looking for, they want to be taken on a journey by somebody who knows what they're doing. And there's no real other equivalent. I mean, even when you listen to music, you don't want like an alternative lyric or like an alternative bridge.
Well, that's new thing to do. Maybe.
But I think that audiences generally, they want somebody who's a really like a master at their craft, and then taking you along a ride and then giving you this experience. That sort of interactive element. It's kind of novel and fun for a little bit, but
maybe it's like the cinematic equivalent of karaoke, where you're part of the story now.
Yeah, I know. Inés, what do you think?
How about Inés? What your opinions on art can be anything, right? How about this VR stuff with all these environments immersively surround your audience?
I think it's different. You can't make a comparison. The cinema with that. It's like you make a comparison the photography with the cinema and virtual reality. It's really different. But I accept that it's a middle of the expression of art. Why not? But it's not the same for me, the cinema.
Yes. I think we create movies and we create VR, whatever. It's human created, And then I think this cannot be ignored. I think that mark. This is not market. It's about these expressions, and we cannot ignore it. But someone may find some ways to make it a good tools to tell the story. I think so. Okay, we have these medium changes, but also we have production changes. Yeah, and also lately, it's from like 2D animations. Then we have motion control table and all that, and then we have the computer animations. Not just only the backgrounds. Now it's kind of producing convincing characters. And then after that, we step into these recent years. AI is coming. It's already here. Yeah. So how's the AI? Everyone say, AI is going to take some of the jobs, and AI. Someone say, okay, AI is a helper to make things faster, to concrete your thinking into visuals in a faster way that you can choose your way to express things. I think we all want to know lots of stars, experts right here. How's the opinions on this AI affect us? Or for some students, taking their efforts and times to start the drawings and then frame by frames. I think that is, to me, is essential. Yeah, but you cannot predict. The world is coming like maybe 10 years later, no one's learning animations. It's coming like asking the AI to do it. I don't know that well, but what's your opinion on that? So let's start with Alex. What's your opinion on AI, on these affecting us? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. It's way too early to be able to forecast how it's going to affect not just animation production, but just our lives in general and the world in general. Our studio doesn't use any AI tools.
Okay.
That's
a selling point.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that we're sort of philosophically opposed to it. I think it's that we've tried to play with some of the tools, and I just don't find them very compelling, artistically. I think it might be different if I worked in live action. With live action, some of the AI tools are able to create imagery that's pretty convincing, but with animation, I don't know why everything looks really average. And well, and I think it's because that's the way the technology works. It takes it's like probabilistic, right? So like it looks at all this sort of data and then it finds the most probabilistic outcome, or like the most likely outcome. But that doesn't give you something that's, the most probabilistic outcome is not always and usually not the most interesting outcome, or the most interesting or creative decision. So that's why every time we tried the tool, what it spat out to us was just kind of mid. And so, and we're in the business of trying to push the aesthetics and push the medium, and to create sort of beautiful, excellent work. And I just don't think AI has been able to help us do that. So, I mean, we seriously consider it because obviously it would save us a lot of money if it would be very effective, but it ended up actually costing us more time and more energy, because you would get these outputs and then, we'd inevitably have to like paint over it and fix it. And it'd be easier just to start, from the beginning, just doing it ourselves. So that said, the tools are very early. It's like still the first inning, right? So who knows how these tools are going to develop?
Yes.
So that's a long-winded way of saying I have no idea.
How's Mike? You the first one to say now that we have to stand for humans to do animations, right?
Well, it's just, this is a matter of my personal taste. Again, it's not really a philosophical thing. I love handmade art, and if I'm gonna see animation, I want to see the animation that only Alex can make, or only Raman, or only Inés can make, and that's a unique expression of their personality, not them driving this magic box. And so for me, the more unique charm, warmth, human error, the unpredictability, the stuff that, like Alex said, makes it interesting rather than just, good enough. You want something that surprises you, that captures your attention, that you think, oh, wow, Inés is really thinking of something wild that I never saw it that way. I don't want to know what the AI brain comes up with. Then the other side of it is, as a filmmaker, not an audience member, actually the making, drawing, designing, building, photographing, editing, the making the movie, that's the fun part for me. I don't want to give that to the AI. I want the AI to do my laundry, wash the dishes. I want the AI robot to tell me if I have cancer. But the creative stuff, I don't really understand. Well, there's a business decision there. Maybe it's cheaper, faster. We just plug the AI machine in and tell it what we want, and we get a movie for middle grade kids that'll keep their attentions on Saturday morning or whatever, and we'll get something that's good enough. But as a filmmaker, that's really the stuff, the fun stuff, the stuff where as you're making it, you discover stuff about yourself or you discover new ways of telling a story. And so, again, this is not really a philosophical argument against AI, although there are philosophical arguments that you can make about AI, I think. And I also don't think we can't stop it. It's here. So, okay, that's what I think about AI.
Okay, yes. Let me thank you.
It's pretty neat,
Mike.
though.
Yeah, I think yes, pretty neat. Yeah, sometimes. And also I love you to talk about it. We're going to be we want to be in the front end. We want to get our hands dirty. That is something that a creator have to do, right? Okay, Raman, I'm going to ask you a question. Have you ever used AI in your project?
I have not yet.
Okay.
Well, to me, AI is I think it's a tool. Like when I first learned about art, we had a class called typography, and we had to do 8-point lettering, write like ABC whatever, by pencil. That was before computer. When we were in university, we were using typewriters. So we went from that to computer, and when we start using computer, then we start relying computer. So now AI to me is like, there's another thing that you can use when you find it good to use. But right now it's not very easy to use. Right now when you talk to AI, why are you giving me this? It's not giving you what you expected. It's like you're talking to an actor, and the actor just couldn't understand what you want him to do. But I think, but the thing about AI is they won't stop learning. So, I mean, when you think about what we saw from AI 6 months ago or a year ago to now is a big difference. So maybe another year is going to be very, very different. So I think we should keep an eye on it, or just know about it. So when it's ready, then maybe we can use it to help some steps of the production. Or like you said earlier, it might give you choices that you know, oh, I don't want to go there. Then I want to go here, which the AI couldn't give me, but I know I want something different or unique. Then I can try not to do that and try to do this.
Or use AI as a subtracting method that if anything that comes from the AI, I will not do it. That's another way to use AI, right? Okay. Inés, how's your opinion on this AI impact to us? Yeah, as an artist. Yeah.
I think AI is for me it's like a toy, not a real element to creation. And we are fascinating because we ask a thing to the AI and we have the results immediately. But if you think a little more, you see the result that is not really good, because you can make that better. But I don't know. I think it's so recently. I think we need more time to understand this element.
When we talk about AI, it is about that using that to replace human. That is the first thing coming into mind. If that's the way, let's change another angles about doing the productions. Let's say in your movie, Tekkonkinkreet, there's a lot of doubles. There's animated. Yeah, you using the latest technology at that time is using crowd animations to do this, using 3D CGI to help the 2D to create your movies. So that is something that I would like the audience to know more about this, because your movie is so famous about a change in a way how to make 2D movies?
Actually, we didn't use crowd animation on Tekkon. Some of our crowds were CG, but each person was animated by hand. And actually, most of it was hand-drawn. So most of the CG that we were using was for like hard surface cars, buses, trains, stuff that had to animate in perspective. But, you know, we would put hand-drawn characters riding on the top of the train or riding inside the cars. Or so there was some mixture of stuff like that. There's some skills in, well, certainly in computer modeling and animation that you think someday they're going to make a better way of doing this. Like modeling, for example. There's sometimes when we were modeling everything just one triangle at a time and trying to make very complex shapes out of simple geometric components. And then we were using digitizers where we could, or scanners where we could capture an object in 3 dimensions, every aspect of it. Even in my stop motion work, we build the thing out of clay, but then we scan it into the computer and we manipulate it more there. And then we use a 3D printer to output it. And I feel like a lot of that kind of stuff, manipulation of 3D data, that's something where I feel like AI might help out a lot because sometimes the amounts of information just to describe like something like this bouquet here is incredibly complex, but you can capture it with a 3D scanner, but then it's so complex that it's very difficult to manipulate it. And I feel like maybe there's some kind of AI-based tool where you can say, okay, you know, more of these little flowers or more roses or something like that, and it can extrapolate from what you have and be able to process this very complex, very dense set of data. I don't think there's anyone, even the most dedicated modeling artist, who actually enjoys that part of it. And I feel like there's maybe some tool where instead of moving points with a mouse, you know, it's the most primitive tool that you can imagine. There's a way of using AI so that you can just say, oh, yeah, apply a little smoothing here or something. Maybe that's done with a prompt, or maybe you just talk to it, and the AI is your assistant, you know, doing something very specific that is kind of, it's such a complex operation that there's no way a single human can
really
kind
enjoy.
of wrap around it. Yeah. But I don't know, you know, there's part of me that feels like, you know, a lot of the things that we come up with as filmmakers, they have to do with running into limitations and finding different ways to get around a problem. Japanese animation, anime, one of the things that makes it kind of distinctive from like Disney animation, kind of more smoother animation, are these techniques of limited animation, where we came up with ways of expressing movements using very few frames, very few drawings, rather than one drawing for every 24th of a second. And that's one of the things when you look at Japanese animation, that's one of the things that makes it look different, is that they're using very few drawings and much more attention on the gesture instead of the performance and the individual poses rather than a kind of integrated choreography, if you want. So I feel like, you know, there's something good about things being difficult, and you discover new ways of doing things when you run into a wall.
I agree that if it's too easy, then you just be lazy, right? it's a pair. Easy and lazy is a pair, right? Anything you want to tell the students about what you're going to do now? What is the must-do things that you want to tell them? Yeah.
I'm not an animator. I direct, and if I had to pick out something that I wish that I always struggle with, and that I wish I spent more time on, just learning the fundamentals when I was younger, is drawing. And I mean, I can storyboard enough so that everyone knows what I'm trying to do, but it takes me longer than the other guys on the team. So I would say basically study anything but filmmaking. Just learn how to play a musical instrument, learn how to draw, learn how to program. If I was trying to figure out how to do my job better and I had a time machine, I would go back and do a little more of that stuff.
Cool.
Anyways.
Yeah. Well, Raman, if you have a time machine, what would you like to do when you go back like 50 years ago, 40 years ago?
I think like what Michael was saying is just actually to draw more. I think it's good because even if you want to use AI, you need to know how to draw. Then you can use AI more. You cannot just prompt all the time. Sometimes you need to communicate with them with drawings or something like that. I would say draw more and eat. Yeah, while you draw and sleep more.
Sure. Inés, how's you? If you have the time machines, when you go back to where you're from and starting from there, what you missing? Anything that you would like to do at that time?
Learn another thing, or I think link with the animation.
Alex, what would you like to do when you have time machine going back to your life?
Yeah, I agree with what everybody's saying. I think drawing, like learning the fundamentals is really, really important because these tools are so powerful now, and it's really easy to sort of shortcut your way to a final product. But when you become, hopefully one day if you're directing, if you don't have the sort of a basic understanding of the principles, you're not going to be able to tell and guide a team and direct them to get to a better product. So you really need to know the fundamentals, and that's drawing, that's painting, that's the language of film, right? Cinematography, editing, all those things. Those are basically the tools. That's the grammar that you use to communicate your stories. And so if you don't have a mastery over the sort of the basic grammatical tools of the language, you're not going to be able to communicate very well. And I think drawing, especially in animation is such a visual medium, and cinema is such a visual medium. Drawing is a really, really effective and efficient way to communicate your ideas.
I think one thing is you don't have to draw very well.
Right.
It's not a requirement, but it's good that you can draw. And I've seen people who couldn't draw, and they really spend the time to learn, and they became great artists. So don't just give up when you feel like, oh, I'm struggling and all that.
Yeah,
give it time.
I would say anybody can learn to draw. I mean, if you think about it, when every human being used to be a baby or a kid, right? And before you learn how to speak, before you learn how to write, you draw. And that's like the first mode of communication that human beings have. And then most people stop drawing because they learn how to read, they learn how to write, and then that's a more sort of efficient way of communicating. And then some weird people like us, we just keep drawing. And that's why we've gotten better, because we just kept doing it, right? So if you just keep doing it, you will get better. You might not become Glenn Keane or a Picasso, but you'll get proficient enough that you can communicate your ideas to your audience or to your team. So it's just, you just got to practice and just keep doing it.
I mean, I really like what Raman said about you don't have to draw well because, well, just directing, I can't draw well, but I can tell a story with pictures. And that's not just being able to draw a perfect likeness of something. It's a matter of knowing, like the stuff Alex was talking about, the language of cinema, knowing how to tell a story with sequential art, sequential images. And, there's a lot of great filmmakers. A lot of times when I've lectured about storyboarding, I use Martin Scorsese's storyboards as an example, because if you look at his storyboards from Taxi Driver or Raging Bull, it's like there's a scrawled face and there's red splotches, and they're so expressive, and they really tell this, not only the story but the mood. You know exactly what he's trying to do just by looking at them, but they're not sophisticated as illustrations. But that's good enough for a lot of jobs. I would say particularly directing. If you know how to express yourself with pictures, it's very different from drawing well, but you have to be able to draw to do that. And then you have to know all that stuff, the rules of, or the principles of, telling a story with pictures and editing and cinematography. And then you can, forget about it all and do something weird or experimental, and maybe that's a new tool that you have.
We move a little bit from a technical point of view. How about everyone say storytelling is very important in doing animations. These storytelling things, if I look at the curriculums of animation, there's no such a class is about storytelling. Is there a way, shortcut to learn faster and learn more about storytelling? Raman, what's your opinion about like learning faster and be let's say a storyteller? Yeah.
Well, there's no shortcut, and
Okay.
there's no easy way to do it, because sometimes we do screening. We'll do screening of storyboard, and then you think, oh, that's a great joke. How come they don't react? People don't get connected, and then you just have to keep trying and trying. I wish there's an easy way, or there's a good 10 pages answer to give it to you, but no, that's such thing. You just have to keep doing it, and then when you finish your movie, it becomes something else, and you don't know why, and you have no control about it, and it just happens. So you just have to go with the flow. I think of a time when actually no one was making animation. When I first went to the US in around late 80s, even Disney was not making animated movie, because they just had a movie came out that didn't do well. That's before Little Mermaid. So no one was making any animated movie because didn't make any money. And I think now we're very lucky in the time that a lot of people are making animated movies, and there's a lot of different platforms for us to try things and tell different stories. Even this time when we were looking at all the students' films for the animation awards, it's amazing how they're telling different stories with such short length, and we were just being great audience watching it. Yeah.
Sure. Yes. So you talk about your script, and is in like the audience not reacting, or is it something about cultural difference, like the West and the East, and
Oh no, it's not about that.
know about
It's
it?
because when I was working in Hollywood, some of us thought it's funny, but the audience did react. I think it's because of the age difference sometimes, or just the way we express it is not good enough. It's not so much about the cultural difference, because we were doing it for that culture.
Okay.
I would not try to force Chinese culture thing into a Hollywood movie unless it's asking for that. Or I would not do the reverse. I would not try to make things very Western in a Chinese movie. So sometimes I go a little crazy because I work on both worlds. I think Michael probably experienced that too because you come from, right? Oh, I'm just.
Well, particularly with humor, there's some kind of some things that work and some things that don't, and we don't always know why. But and certainly, well, I've been in Japan for a long time, but I wouldn't say I get every joke, as it's intended, and I feel that maybe my sense of humor is often misunderstood as well.
So, Alex, you're from Hong Kong, and then you work on mostly Western movies. Do you find these cultural difference things in your productions, or anything that you think, maybe I put some Ha Gao Siu Mai or something in my movie would be better?
Well, I was born and raised in the U.S. and then I moved to Hong Kong when I was like 15 years old. And I went to international school here. So I really only lived here for 3 years. So I like to say that I'm from Hong Kong, but culturally I'm much more American than I am from Hong Kong. There are cultural differences for sure, even though I spent a lot of my life in America, being raised by Chinese parents. There's just a different set of values, I think, that I grew up with that doesn't always overlap with, a lot of my peers who were raised by American, parents. And for a long time, especially when I was at Pixar, I found that to be really frustrating, and I thought it was a big handicap for myself because I felt like, maybe my sensibilities or my sense of humor or my values are just so different than all of my peers and the people who are making films at the studio. They're all American, so maybe there's just no future for me at the studio. I obviously I was able to succeed there, and I contributed meaningfully to a lot of these films, but it was actually one of the reasons I left Pixar was because I felt like there was maybe a bit of a cultural ceiling for me there. This was before a lot of the changes that have happened in American culture and in the world in the last, I'd say, 10 years. So maybe if I stayed there, things would have changed. There are actually now a lot more directors at Pixar that are from different sort of cultural and ethnic backgrounds. So I think they've really sort of tried to embrace this sort of diversity.
Oh, Inés, how's your, in a French way? Is it a culture affected your thinking or your expressions when you do your animations in France?
I saw that France, the French people or the French school they have a good technique, but they haven't got the ideas, So in France now we are a lot how you say people of the other world to make the films, and we work with the crow, the French crow, because France need the new ideas, like the people of the Argentina or the Japan or the Russian, that is the feeling for me.
Well, I think that is the advantage too. Being different
Yes.
from in the as a local. Well, I think it's something more. If you the animations doing the animation be different from the normal standard, or becomes a something that really expresses yourself. That's the must, right? On becoming a good animators or good directors in the future. So that's something that I would like to express to the student here about this is all your master now. They all talk about how they do animation, how they see animations, how they see the AI and stuff. How about we make a big claps to all our speakers.